Hey, I'm Strafe, and welcome to my Mythical Creatures Bestiary. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the unsettling undead beings of Norse mythology, the Draugr. Draugr are malevolent Norse creatures. They are ancient representations of revenants or zombies. They go by many names, including Againwalkers, Draugr, Draugr, and Aptaganga. Intelligent creatures, Draugr are the rotting corpses of those who have died, reanimated by the unstoppable will of the souls of the deceased. They are often described as jet black or dark blue in colour, and strong beyond the reckoning of any regular man. Any evil, greedy or brutish person may become a Draugr. It is said that their spirits refuse to follow the prescribed path of death and the afterlife. Even then, however, it takes an extraordinary power of will for a person to force one's spirit back into their body, making Draugr fairly rare. The beings supposedly have a wide array of magical abilities. These include transmutation into various animals, and passing through walls and other solid matter. They also have a magical stare, which can drive men insane by simply looking at it. Related to this, any animals grazing nearby a Draugr turn mad by the evil and power that the creature exudes. One of their more famous abilities is to increase their size at will. This greatly enhances their strength and weight and makes them very formidable opponents. Norse peoples mostly buried their dead. Despite modern depictions popularising the idea of a floating cremation, burial was actually the most common method utilised. The graves that Vikings created were kind of like houses. They were mounds, filled with things that Viking people believed a dead man may need for a short while. The mounds would have things like food and drink, personal treasure, and sometimes even slaves that were buried alive with the dead. The Zombies book by Nick Redfern and Brad Steiger states the following. As for the means by which these menacing creatures ensured their survival, it was in classic zombie style. Both the Draugr and the Haugbui dined on human flesh. The Haugbui are similar revenant-themed monsters in Norse mythology. Draugr are said to dwell chiefly in their burial mounds, guarding great treasures that they were laid to rest with or had obtained over years of hunting for flesh. Draugr appear like wisps of smoke when they leave their graves, and they have a stench of rot and death. As reanimated dead, Draugr can experience a unique second death. The only way to kill a Draugr, in fact, is to wrestle it back into its grave, dismember it, cremate it, and then finally throw its ashes into the sea. Problematically, any victims of Draugr absorb the curse and rise themselves as Draugr after death. For this reason, hunting one is a severely dangerous prospect. Not only are Draugr immensely strong and hard to kill, but their curse is also passed on to any victims that fail. Due to the menace that people believed Draugr to be, traditions started to appear that were believed to ward them off and prevent them from coming into being. First off, people learned to recognise a potential Draugr by the body's activity upon death. For instance, if the body is sitting upright instead of lying flat, they are likely experiencing a Draugr transformation. Next, to try to prevent a body from returning as a Draugr, Vikings would do a number of very peculiar things. First of all, with the body on display in the family home, they would cover it with a pair of opened up scissors and place twigs in its clothing. The deceased's big toes were bound together. Large, strong nails were driven through their feet to stop them from rising up and wandering about. Finally, the body was smothered in a shroud to keep it securely tied up. There were some very obscure rituals that occurred after this. Vikings would move the coffin randomly in 3 directions when carrying the body out of the house to be buried. This was said to confuse a Draugr's sense of direction. Interestingly, Norse peoples believed that a Draugr could only return to a home and bring death to it by entering through the door that it exited as a corpse. Instead of the inconvenience of having to barricade their front door forever, people would open up coffin-sized holes in their walls and slide the coffin through it. This was done feet first to stop the Draugr from knowing where it was going. The hole was then walled up immediately afterwards, protecting the home. What if those unique last rites were not given or were unable to be given? One unique case for this is related to men who drowned on one of the Vikings' many sea voyages. In this circumstance, the Vikings believed that the spirit of the man drowned becomes a very special class of Draugr. Waterborne Draggers look like regular Draugrs, but their heads are misshapen into Cthulhu-esque nightmares. They wear oilskins instead of clothing, and they're able to hunt on the seas using wooden rafts that they build for themselves. These Draugrs are masters of camouflage. They pretend to be seaweed on beached rocks until an unexpected passerby becomes their lunch. That's it, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, why not check out some of the other mythical creatures in this bestiary? Like, subscribe and comment to let me know what you thought of the video. You can keep up to date with the channel on Facebook and Twitter. Consider checking out my Patreon page for more content and other perks. I'll see you in the next video. Toodles!